Good morning. We are here today with the Busy Little Bee podcast, HTX, and we're here today with Miss Kim Palmer in Title. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
So we're going to talk title today. First and foremost, we want to thank Bolt Mortgage for the studio. We want to thank Lauren, Ashley, and Matthew Hyde for the studio today. And we're going to go ahead and get into title. But first, let's go ahead and introduce our guest today, Miss Kim Palmer.
Hi, I'm Kim Palmer. I'm super happy to be here. Thank you so much, Sabrina, for having me. I am with Fidelity National Title. I'm a business development manager, and I primarily work in the Pasadena market.
Okay, perfect. Let's talk a little bit about why you chose title. What is your title in title, and what made you want to become a business development manager?
Okay, well, I actually started my title journey years ago. My sister approached me with a job opportunity, and it's funny because at the time I'd never purchased a house. I didn't even know what title insurance was, right? So she's like, basically, it's where you go to sign your papers when you sell a house, and that's about what I knew about it back then. Okay. Then my journey kind of continued on, and I moved into the real estate market for a little while and did that, and then eventually came back to title almost 10 years ago. So I've been working in the title business now consecutively for about 10 years.
Okay. And so you were a realtor previously.
Yes, I was a realtor.
And then you came back into title.
Exactly.
Okay, so you know both sides.
I do know both sides. Yeah. I do. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. And that's kind of what helps me in my job because I know what you guys are going through. Yeah. I know the struggles of being a realtor for sure.
For sure. Okay. So give us a little bit about what title is, what title insurance is, and why is it important?
So basically, title insurance is something like we just talked about, but most people don't even really know what it is. And ironically, it's probably one of the most important insurances that we purchase in our lifetime, right? So it's protecting our ownership of our property. So basically what we do is we go in and we research the title all the way back to the beginning and make sure that, no Tom, Dick, or Harry can come knocking on your door on a Saturday morning and say, hey, this is, my great-grandmother's property, my great-grandmother's house, right? So we check and make sure that it's going to be yours, and we insure that. So if that does happen, we have insurance for that.
Okay. So we know that a lot of people in Houston, they drive around with no insurance, and it's wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, and next thing you know, you're with somebody without insurance, right? Is title insurance necessary?
Absolutely, it's necessary. It's not required in some cases. Okay. So if you are not getting a loan, oftentimes some people will purchase properties without title insurance, but it's a really risky thing to do. Yeah. Because like I said, if somebody does come back and you haven't researched the title and they do have claim on the property, you do risk losing your property. Right. So I would never advise anybody to purchase property without title insurance.
Yeah, and it covers both sides, the buyer and the seller, and it just protects all the parties, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So I will say that sometimes there are cash deals that are done, and somebody may come and say, hey, I'm paying cash. I do not want to have the insurance. And even in those cases, I will recommend strongly that you get the title insurance, because even if it's just a lot, like some people will call me and say, it's just a lot, and I just don't. I think that it's important for everybody to be on the same page when it comes to who actually owns this property, especially in Texas when there's so many moving parts all day, every day.
Correct. And I mean, you hear on the news, I just heard a story recently about somebody selling a property that did not belong to them.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So we're going to do that research for you. We're going to make sure that property belongs to the person that says they own it before they sell it to you.
And I'll even go further. I'll kind of piggyback off of that. I used to be in property management, and some of you guys know my story. But even in property management, I would go to eviction courts, and I can't tell you the number of times that I would get somebody that would go before me and be in front of the court and the judge, and they would be arguing, and you would have Mr. So-and-so here that says, no, I'm buying this property. I've been buying this property for 10 years. I've been making my payments every month for 10 years. And then here's somebody that's a mortgage company that says, no, I'm so sorry. You've missed 7 payments, and come to find out this person has been paying this person, and this person was the actual like some kind of scam artist or whatever, and now somebody passed away and their heirs are about to sell the house, but now it's under foreclosure and all the different things, right?
Correct. I mean, there's just so many scenarios.
So many. Like as an eviction, I cannot tell you, I would say maybe 2 out of the 5 times that I would go to eviction court, there would be somebody there that would have that. And it broke my heart because these people were paying consistently thinking I'm buying this property and it wasn't that at all.
Correct.
So, and a lot of times it came back to the, I'm doing a seller financing, or we didn't go to a title company. We didn't use a title company. Those are the stories that a lot of those would, and that's what the judge unfortunately would have to say, unfortunately.
Correct. And just, to go off of what you were just saying, we also insure properties that are seller finance. So don't think because you're doing a seller finance that it doesn't need to go through a title company. We do it all the time.
Exactly. And that's what I recommend when anybody is doing seller financing. Okay, yes, do it. Do it. But please close at a title company, because I know that you're going to put that title insurance in there that's going to make sure that all parties are correct, and they're pulling their opening title to make sure that you're actually purchasing it from the correct seller, from the actual person that owns it.
Exactly.
What are some common issues that arise in title, and how are they usually resolved?
Well, going back to what you were just saying, so when we pull title and we research it, sometimes there is somebody that needs to get paid, or we also research the names of the people that are involved, and they could have a lien on themselves or a lien on the property. So we just make sure that everybody is getting dispersed properly. So sometimes we have judgments come up on somebody. I said lien before, but it's judgments on people. Like maybe they haven't paid their child support, so we have to make sure that gets paid out of their proceeds. Right. So we're just making sure that we dot all of our I's and cross all of our T's for you.
What are some of those judgments? You said child support, but would like school loans do that, or like what would
credit
be the
cards?
Ones? Okay.
I mean, just any kind of debt that there's been a judgment in court that says you have to pay this debt.
Okay, so not the average person that has just regular credit card debt, but if their credit card debt has been so much that the company has put a lien on them,
that they've had to go to court.
Yeah, that they've had to go to court. Okay.
Correct.
What about any bankruptcies? Would that do something to as far as like when you're researching that?
I mean, I think that that's probably more something that would be on the loan side.
Okay. Oh, so, okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
with the lender.
Yeah, because we're not like pulling credit, so to speak. We're
gotcha.
Not trying. We're not finding out if your credit's good to buy this. It's just making
judgments.
Sure that the judgments are paid.
And the same thing with the home. You make sure that there's no liens as far as like we put a brand new roof on it and you owe $20,000 on it. Correct.
Correct.
Okay. Cool. All right. One of the common issues that I get on my side whenever I go, and I just had one actually recently. It was a situation where they were going to be selling, but a parent passed away, and they were going to have to go through trying to sell this house. So one of the things that you get when you pull that, you get airship and things like that. Is that something that you guys
Correct. Do? So I guess what you're asking me, what you're saying, to be clear, is that they passed away with no will.
Yeah, let's say, yeah.
Okay. So yes, so if somebody passes away and there's no will, then we have to go do our research. And I always kind of say that my escrow officers are also detectives, right? Because they have to find these people. If somebody passes away without a will, we have to figure out who all the heirs are. So, let's say he has 3 children, and then, maybe one of those children died, and then there's 3 grandchildren. We have to figure out who all of the interested parties are and who gets what, right? So that's why it's really good to always have a will. So when it comes to this part of life, that's hard, that we're not causing arguments in the family. Because the hard part is that everybody has to be in agreement in order for the property to sell. And so if one of those heirs is not in agreement, we can't get it closed.
And so when one of those heirs is not in agreement, what do you usually recommend? Do you recommend them to like a probate attorney, or is that?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that has to get handled outside of our realm of what we can do.
Okay.
So, yeah, maybe visiting an attorney or maybe some therapy for the family. I don't know. No.
Yeah. Right. Something to help you get to the other side, right? And so I have a question. So if somebody were, let's say somebody found out later in life that their parent wasn't their parent, and they find out who their parent was, come to find out this person had other children, and let's say a home sold and that child did not get part of the proceeds, they are now, they were an heir, but nobody really knew about it. Is there any recourse for that, or how would somebody go about doing something like that?
That's something that's kind of out of the realm of what I do and what I can talk on. But I will say this, if there's a will, then you're going to protect that, right?
Okay.
So if it's already in the will, I mean, as we all know, sometimes parents cut their own children that they know about out of the will, correct? So The will is going to protect that doesn't happen. Now, I'm not an attorney, and so I would definitely say that's something that you would want to talk to an attorney about, but my limited knowledge about the thing, it's just always really good to make sure you have your will.
Right. And I will say that I do appreciate that. You know, we stay in our lane, right? We stay in our lane on what we know and what our profession is. The conversation is different when you say, hey, I can get that information for you, but I just don't have it in my back pocket.
Correct.
Because it's not, you know, the liability of it too as well.
Absolutely. And also, you know, the title business specifically is not a business that you go to college for, you go to school for, right? So basically our escrow officers, they come through the ranks of the title business, and that's why you see so much longevity in the title business, because it's something that you really have to put a lot of time in to really understand and know, because you're constantly having new and different things come across your desk that you have to figure out. So that's why it's really good to make sure that you're working with somebody that has been in the business a long time or is very well connected in the business. I mean, that's one of my favorite things about working at the company that I'm at now with Fidelity is, you know, everybody's just a phone call away, right? My county manager, she's a phone call away. The sales manager, a phone call away. So if I don't know the answer, I can definitely get it for you.
Okay. And one of the things that I appreciate you is becoming an accountability coach for me. I think that I know with you being a realtor, that has helped with that. There's a lot of times that I need the phone call, right? And I'm like, and so I can appreciate that for you. What is it that made you kind of get on that side of it to kind of, I mean, I don't know if this is something you're providing for other agents, but it's something that you've helped me tremendously and has really been able to help my business. Can you speak a little bit on that?
Absolutely. Well, it helps me too. So that's part of the reason why I like to do it, right? But this was one of the reasons that I joined Fidelity, because kind of the business model for our company is we invest our dollars in products and services that can help you guys grow your business, right? So it's really great to get to go out to lunch and do all of these things with the title company, right? But at the end of the day, like, we want you to be able to buy your own lunch, right? So we want to spend our money and our time and our efforts in helping you grow so we can grow together. And then, of course, you know, I love it too, right? I get so much out of it. So, that's what we do.
All right, perfect. Why is it important to work with a trusted title company?
This is like a lot of times the biggest deal of our lives and the most important insurance that we purchase, right? So the reason why it's good to work with a trusted title company is because you want to make sure that company's there. What if you do have Joe Smith knock on your door and say, hey, you know, I have claim on this house. You want to be able to find that title company that those papers were signed so you can, you know, take advantage of your title insurance or figure out what needs to happen, right?
20 years down the road.
20 years, 30 years. I mean, we're signing mortgages many times for 30 years. So is it going to be there for the life of that mortgage?
Right.
A lot of times when the market gets really great, the real estate market, there's a lot of title companies that come on the scene. And they're opening their doors, and, you know, title company that maybe you've never heard of. And so you go and use that title company, and then now it's time
now the market gets
your
slow.
Insurance, and the market's slow. The company closes down, and you need help, and you can't find them, right? So that's why it's important to be with a strong brand that has been around for a long time, 100 plus years, right? And that's going to be there when you need them.
Perfect. Would you say that fraud is on the rise?
Yes, fraud is definitely something that everybody needs to be super aware of. And I'll say this too, you know, when you're dealing with transactions that are like this, it's not like when somebody puts fraud on your Chase account, right? And you call Chase and they're like, oh, well, I'm going to give you that money back and I'm going to research it. No. You know, a lot of times if this happens and there's fraud, that money is gone.
Right.
Never to be seen again.
Right.
So you've got to be with a reputable title company that is making sure that we're verifying those wiring instructions, making sure that money's going exactly where it needs to be. Yeah. Because fraudsters are constantly working harder to get better at their game.
Correct.
Don't ever go off of an email. If you receive an email, because they're good, right? The email looks real. It looks like it's coming from your escrow officer, you know, and you have to like click and see, oh, that's not really their email address, right?
And sometimes it'll even have their file number, like your file number and your address. So everything.
The picture,
it'll have your person that you've been working with for 3 weeks. It'll have her on there, like, but then the phone number will be different, you know, just small things like that. But I think that working together, we make sure that we are eliminating the possibility of fraud as much as possible.
Correct. And there's always a phone call that's going to happen right before those funds are transferred.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Perfect. What is the role of title when it comes to closing day? What should buyers and sellers expect on closing day?
Well, they should expect that everything's ready to go.
Yeah.
Right? You should
Right.
expect to come into the office and bring your valid form of identification and sit down at the table, and you're going to have a great escrow officer that is going to walk you through those documents and explain all of those documents to you. So closing day should be the easy day.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The work should be done by then, for sure.
I have, I work with a lot of different realtors and I collaborate with a lot of different realtors. And I've had some realtors tell me that they don't come to closing day. Is that or is it not important for the realtor to be at the closing table?
In my own personal opinion, I feel like it's important, right?
Okay.
Like that's the final step of the process. That's when everybody's happy. You know, you should be there. You know, a lot of times you are just sitting there, right? Because you're not explaining the documents because your trusted escrow officer that knows what they're doing is doing all of that for you. But it's the last touch of the transaction, right? So why would you not want to be there and celebrate?
Well, and I've had times that sometimes there's something that's changed just like last minute, right?
Yes.
And sometimes I've had clients that are like, oh, Sabrina, and then so I'm there and I'm able to read the document and say, oh, this is what changed. And sometimes I'll even bring out the calculator if I need to, right? Like, let's go.
Yeah, and you know what? This might be the first and only time somebody's ever been to a title company, right? It can be intimidating.
Right.
And then they're sitting down at the table. Yeah, maybe you've had correspondence through the transaction, but you're basically sitting down with people that you don't know very well. So, you got to bring that warm fuzzy in for your people, right? And be there. You basically turned into their therapist the last X amount of months that you've worked with them. So don't abandon them on closing day.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
I make closing important for me too. Okay, great. Explain closing delays and how to ensure a smooth transaction.
Okay, well, I will say how to ensure a smooth transaction. Make sure you're responding to your emails. Make sure you're getting all of the information to the title company that they're asking for.
Is this for the buyer, the seller, the
Both.
realtor?
Both. Everyone. Yeah.
Okay. Make sure that you're responding to your emails. What else?
And just make sure you're getting all that information and the title company needs to get the deal closed. Period. We just have different things that we need. We need to get our seller information sheets, our buyer information sheets, so we can do the research on the people like we talked about. We need all of that information right up front. So just making sure you get all that to the title company first. Make sure all that information's filled out on the contract. A lot of times that can make it pretty quick. I mean, you'd be surprised how many contracts come through that don't have the real estate agent's information on there or the seller's information, their phone numbers, and also just communicating with the title company how you like to have your correspondence. Maybe you want a phone call. Maybe you want an email. Maybe you want a text. So just, and that's something that as a business development person, we should be asking you guys that up front, right? Like, how do you like to communicate? How do you communicate? Correct. Right. But yeah, so on the buyer, seller, and agent side, that's how to ensure a smooth transaction.
Okay. And closing delays. What are some reasons for closing delays on average? Just like your normal day-to-day, like what would you say is one of the main reasons there's some closing delays?
Oftentimes it's issues with the loan.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's times where we have errors, right? So maybe we have somebody that's passed away, and then there's errors, and we're having to find them. That can delay the closing.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So, okay. The more information, the more you know, the more you know.
The more you know.
All right. I'm a first-time home buyer. What are some tips that I need to know, and how much does everything cost? That's the million-dollar question I know.
Well, as far as the title side of it, everywhere that you close, you're going to have the same title fees. And then you have your escrow fees, which are typically around $500, and that's charged to both buyer and seller, the same amount. Okay. And then the price of the title policy is based on the sale price of the house. So it's between 0.06 and 0.09% based on, so basically the higher the house, the higher purchase price of the home, it goes down, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the higher that the sales price is, the lower that percentage is?
Correct. Yes.
Zero, is it, did you say 0.6 or 0.9?
Yes, and it's funny, we have these rate cards, and, you would think
I've seen those.
Yes.
Yeah.
So those are kind of becoming a thing of the past. We now have a calculator, which is really great, so you can just plug it in, but, it's not so easy like, oh, well, it's just like sales tax, right? So the formula is a little bit confusing, but we have a calculator for that. But like I said, it's mandated by the state, so same everywhere you go.
Yeah, I remember those rate cards. They were so hard. I had to put my glasses on and then
it's like
put a little magnifying. I'd be like, oh, your house is this is, this is how much you're gonna. And I'm just like,
Right.
talk to title.
Now we have the calculator, and
Now
it's
we have the
awesome. So
calculator.
if anybody needs it, just let me know.
Yeah.
It's great. I use it all the time.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay, well, we want to thank you for your time today. I want to also give you an opportunity to tell us how we can find you. And if the first-time home buyer out there has questions, things like that, where can we reach out to?
Well, you can always give me a call. On my phone is 720-220-1926, or you can email me, kim.palmer@fnf.com.
Okay, perfect.
You can find me on social media.
Yeah. Where can we find you on social media?
I'm on Facebook, Kimberly Francis Palmer. Easiest way to find me.
Nice.
Yeah, Francis with an I.
Hey, I know. That was my next question. All right. Well,
Thank you, Sabrina. This is
enjoyed
fun.
our time together, and I appreciate you coming in and giving us all the information. Title, Fidelity National Title. You guys, they're phenomenal. They have amazing escrow officers. I have enjoyed my journey with you, and even with our masterminds. And we have agents. Agents, if you're out there, realtors, you're out there, you're looking for a company that really stands behind its agents, look to her. I know that she's created a masterminds class that we have. I'm sure you can get rounded up with a next one. So if you're interested in connecting with Kim to develop your business, reach out to her, and I'm sure that she can start another masterminds for you guys too.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll just say this to close up. I know that when you become a real estate agent, you're bombarded, right, with all of these different things, and it's so hard to know, like, what to pick, what should I do, and it's different for everybody. So it's nice to kind of have somebody in your back pocket that's seen growth of lots of agents. You know, I've helped agents get to the closing table over 5,600 times in my career. So I've seen a lot of different things. So it's helpful to have somebody that can help you in that way.
Absolutely. So, well, as always, I am the Busy Little Bee. You can find me at thebusylittlebee.com, and I'm on social as well as Sabrina_Houston_realtor. And you can find me on Facebook, Instagram. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on...
She's everywhere.
I'm everywhere, because that's what bees do. We buzz around. So
Thanks, Sabrina.
All right. It was a pleasure. You guys have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.